Welcome to the Fit Affiliate podcast, where we talk about behavior and behavior-based conversations as they relate to CrossFit affiliate owners and coaches. My name's Lisa Hetherington, and I'm your co-host. Sitting alongside me are Tony and Chuck, the founders of Fit Affiliate. Welcome back to the Fit Affiliate podcast, and today I'm super excited to have special guest with me, Mr. Sam Burns. How are you, Sam?
I'm doing great. How are you, Lisa?
All the better for seeing you on the other end of my screen this morning for a chat and a catch up.
Yeah.
For those that don't know Sam has, I guess, a late adopter into the CrossFit world, but you've gone like all in. You could be OG in a lot of your beliefs and thinking and the way that you've immersed yourself in it. Variety of roles from, member to coach, head coach, coach development, gym manager, like you've covered the gamut, I guess, in a few facilities. So, and also the co-host of the amazing Talking Average Fitness podcast. Let's throw that one in there as well.
Yes.
Probably the main host. Let's say we'll just leave Kevin to the side.
Wow. I cannot wait until Kevin hears that.
I don't even know him, but he's not going to be queuing up to get on this one. But anyway, I digress. So why don't you just give us a quick, Sam synopsis on, what brought you to CrossFit and, what you've done so far, I guess.
Okay, sure. So, quick version. I found CrossFit in 2017. I had turned 30 and realized that doing nothing wasn't getting me any fitter magically.
Funny that.
I know. I was shocked to learn that, frankly. And so I was doing some stuff, some functional fitness type things, and very much trying to figure it out on my own. And found my way to CrossFit and started at a great affiliate down in Massachusetts called CrossFit Medfield, which at the
Spencer
time
Hendels?
Spencer Hendel, yep, he was the head coach. Spencer Hendel, longtime seminar staff member, which was a godsend in terms of the first place to go and do CrossFit.
Great way to start, yes.
Yeah. And that really, in so many ways, set the tone for what would happen. So I started CrossFit at that gym, kind of under Hendel and a bunch of the coaches who were there. And then I got my level 1 and they hired me on to do coaching. And after I got my level 1, I did an internship at CrossFit One Nation, where it was expanding capabilities, and the people I got to interact with were Meg Burns and Greg Martino and James Hobart and Austin Maliolo.
The OG of the OG.
Yeah, Sam Hornstein and Erica Snyder, who did work for Bergner Weightlifting, and that was the water I swam in, and so incredibly lucky. I left Medfield as senior full-time trainer and went to go be head coach at an amazing nonprofit facility called the Phoenix. They have a brick and mortar space in downtown Boston. And right around that time, my wife gave birth to our first child, my son Noah. And so I pulled back a little bit to spend more time with the family, and I ended up leaving the Phoenix and was kind of in charge of coaching development back at One Nation several years later. It had kind of gone full circle. And then my wife and I made the choice to move up to the great state of Maine, where we are now. And now we've just settled up here this past summer. I spent a little time in an affiliate, but pulled back because now I'm the program manager for the coaching development program underneath Denise Thomas. And I get to work with awesome people like yourself and Fit Affiliate and the gymnastics course. Yeah, that's kind of short, high-level view of where I am right now.
Yeah, and it's been an interesting journey. And why I wanted to talk to you on the podcast today is, quite often we talk to, and our content or information is aimed at affiliate owners, but there's also the level below that of the gym manager or head coach where, their stories are quite unique and quite powerful, and they're in kind of a unique position, sort of being not the owner, but responsible for a lot. And, you know, sometimes they can be confused with, okay, well, where are the lines? You know, what's my part in this? How can I be more invested or not? Or if they've got frustrations with the owner. So it's kind of a unique space to be in. So that's why I thought you'd be a great guest to come on and talk about your experiences in that field. And, you know, you've recently gone through coaching and mentoring, and how you think that that is valuable, I guess, in that area, and understanding the role and taking ownership of that. It's a
Yeah.
very long-winded context, but I thought that, you know, you have experience at various facilities and very high-level facilities. If we're talking about, you know, really well-developed coaches
Mm.
and OG and, you know, true to the ethos of CrossFit. So you haven't just done it in, you know, your back shed and gone, yeah, I've been a gym manager. You've worked with some very, you know, high-profile affiliates. So
Mm.
I thought you've got some good experience to help maybe share with people at that level and let them know, you know, there are resources available.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that, well, first that, you know, gym owners, well, rather head coaches, GMs, you know, they do exist in a weird space
Mm.
because, you know, in the kind of pyramid, the hierarchy of, um, you know, status inside of an affiliate, they exist very close or at the top, sometimes second only to, you know, the owner itself, who might be the person who makes hiring and firing decisions or major expenditure decisions. But
Mm.
most of the time, you know, programming considerations, who does the schedule, who's like, who is the person who the affiliate members go and complain to, like the head coach or the GM very often is that person. Uh,
Mm.
and and sometimes, depending on the way the affiliate is set up, the owner just isn't there a lot. They might have another job and they own this affiliate on the side. And so the GM or the head coach is the person.
Mm.
But because they're not the owner, they're hamstrung in some
Mm.
ways. Or there's a limitation on what they can do in terms of growing the business, even though they might have the desire to do so.
Mm.
Yeah, I think a lot of people can sympathize, if not empathize, with that position.
Yeah. And I think too, unfortunately, um, a lot of coaches fall into that gym manager
Mm.
role by default because the owner's just like, great, I've got coaches, I'm off fishing, I've done my, you know, time of 20-hour days. Call me if you need something. And they're like,
Right.
cool, so I can do all the things and deal with all the stuff, but then I've got no empowerment to make decisions. And I send you an email and I hope you're going to answer me.
Yeah.
Or I don't know if I should be doing this or not. The other, you know, the other side of that is you've got an owner who's still heavily involved,
Mhm.
but then is reluctant to let some things go and to empower and delegate. So it's that, yeah, it is that really weird space. And I think
Mhm.
sometimes they can feel like they're a little bit on an island by themselves, maybe hitting their head up against a brick wall sometimes because, you know, they can see potential and opportunities, but
Mhm.
can't make anyone, you know, take action on those.
Yeah. I mean, I know I've experienced it myself where, and for a lot of coaches, if we're looking at like the ladder or the roadmap, you know, hey, I get my level one, maybe you start to coach on-ramp classes, and then whoever's in charge is like, hey, I think you're ready to coach a full class, and you're like,
Mm.
what? You know, you're just psyched, and then there's that class that is insane, and for a lot of affiliates, it's like the 5 a.m. or 5:30 a.m. where it's like, hey,
Mhm.
I think you're ready for that, and you know, your mind is blown all over again, and then you realize you've been sucker punched because now you're the guy getting up early
Yeah.
and opening the affiliate. And I'm not going to knock that. Like,
Mm.
the affiliates bread and butter are those morning classes and, you know, the evening classes as
Mm.
well, and that's awesome, and it's a very real and wonderful responsibility.
Mm.
But eventually you get to a point where you're like, okay, so what's next? And you might get to a head coach position or a general manager, and you're like, huh, um, what now? Like,
Mm.
and it's and you know, obviously it's going to differ like affiliate to affiliate, but I think one of the places that like, Fitfiliate was great for me was helping me to understand what actually happens in an affiliate at the owner level so
Yep.
that I could behave in a more useful manner at a head coach or a GM level. Because I think there's a big disconnect for a lot of head coaches and GMs who are not behind the curtain on affiliate ownership.
Yeah, and there is that old joke that went around as this coach math. So the coach just looks around and goes, "Well, Sam's got 60 members and they're paying $200 a month. Like Sam's rolling in it. I'm going to go open an affiliate," without understanding.
Yeah.
Yes, that's true, but then like all the other sort of stuff, and that's just coach maths is one of the running jokes, where coaches will just look at it on the surface level because they're frustrated not getting opportunities, which that's the theme of the podcast we've just published, is about creating opportunities for our coaches to be successful and understanding that you can really have the potential to fully weaponize your team and have everybody driving that mission forward. But it can be that very difficult space. So for you, what led you to seek out some sort of additional learning or help in this area?
Well, I first knew about Fitfiliate because they were the only people in the space that were talking about behavior. There were, from my perspective, there were a lot of people talking about, read this before you open a gym, or, here's what you need to do to drive up member retention, or things like that. And Fitfiliate were the only people saying, why can't you hold the people you have, as an example? And so like that was part of what drew me to it. It was a different conversation. And when I became interested in potentially acquiring an affiliate, I realized straight away that there was a lot I didn't know. I didn't know anything about business ownership. I'd never played entrepreneur. I have someone do my taxes for a reason. Like it's like, money is scary, things like that. And so I reached out to Fitfiliate to help guide me and help me understand, like, what do I need to know? What am I not aware of? What are the questions I'm not asking? And what I learned and what I got from that is a peek behind the curtain on, talking about coach math. Like, cool, average gym has 100 members. They're paying $150 a month. That means Gym X is raking in $15,000 a month. Multiply that up by 12 months, like, damn, that's a really nice paycheck. The unspoken part of that, which every affiliate owner knows, is your revenue is 15,000, but your expenses are 14,500.
14,999.
Oh yeah, exactly. And the affiliate owner hasn't taken a paycheck in forever because he's got to make sure the coaches get taken care of, and and all of the jokes that go along with being an owner. And so for me, I felt it was really important to have somebody. I didn't want a seminar. I wanted someone who could help me understand and who could keep me out of the, like, if you think of like the little lane keepers on a bowling alley, right? Keep me out of the gutter.
Yeah.
I can throw the balls down the alley all day long, but like, help me try to make that effort as effective as possible. So that was my journey to Fitfiliate.
And I think that in the market at the moment, there's a lot of stuff targeted at owners or potential owners, rather than how am I successful? I don't want to be an owner. I don't want to put my, head on the chopping block. I don't want to, put my house on the line, but I love coaching and I love, being part of the gym and running the gym and having that responsibility. So how do I make that a successful, profitable career and sustainable, that I can, put food on my family's table, put a roof over their head? Because for a long time in coaching, it's been thought of as, well, there's no real full-time coaches, you'll never make money being a coach. And, whereas, I've seen in the ecosystem, there are coaches who are indeed making, $80,000 a year, can afford their own home and, have stable income and benefits and all that sort of stuff. But it seems to be a bit lost, where it's like, well, is this really achievable for me? And how do I go about that if I want to stay at this level?
Yeah. That's funny. You talk about like, coaches in the ecosystem. The first thing that pops into my head is like, I think of like a Matt Chan or a Dave Lipson or, or like a Denise Thomas. Like, for those of us, I consider myself a professional coach in the sense that I'm not trying to do anything else on the side. I love CrossFit. I love coaching CrossFit. I'm here to do that as best I can. And when I think of the people who are successful and who are known, I think about these people who have been in the space for a long time. And for CrossFit coaches, they're a part of seminar staff. That's kind of where it is. And so I think that a lot of coaches can see that level, but we don't understand how to get to that level. And I think it's just kind of assumed that like, maybe you get your level 1, your level 2, but after you get your level 2, you're like, yeah, I'll go for my level 3. And I just accept the fact that I'm going to do this because I love it. And it's not gonna make me anything. And I agree that like, first of all, that's sad. And I don't think it's true. I think there is a way to do that. And I want to, like, I'd love to help other people understand like how you get to that part. And because there aren't a lot of great examples, I think, for people who have made that journey visibly. So there aren't great. Yeah.
And when you see them, you think that they're the people who've been in CrossFit for 10, 15 years, started in classes with, Greg Glassman back in the day, and then have gradually just built their way up and profiled all their X Games athletes. And they're the people that you see. Like you talked about with the level 1, 2, 3, and now the 4, which is coming, but people see a pathway how to progress in coaching, but how do I progress in business? Because you're absolutely right. Some coaches will go and get their 1, 2, 3, all the specialty certs, and their coaching rate won't change. They're just getting paid per hour.
Yeah.
They are investing a lot to accumulate skills and knowledge. But then there's this other gap, which is the skills and knowledge about understanding the business, what makes the business work, looking under the hood and going, rather than on the surface going, wow, this Ferrari looks amazing. But what makes it work,
Right.
Like, what are the bits and pieces underneath, rather than going, yeah, I'm just going for a ride. Like, we'll just drive it like we stole it.
Finding out it's a kit car set on top of a go-kart or something like that.
And taken with a wide angle lens to make it look bigger.
Right. I had one of the most powerful things recently that I remember hearing was Tony on this podcast talking about, it was Chuck and Tony going back and forth about ascending impact and income for coaches. And specifically the example of the level 3 was brought out. And I remember Tony saying, really what's happened is when you get to your level 3, you've graduated university. Now you've got all the knowledge necessary, and now you're ready to actually start something. And I agree with that, but at the same time, it's also a kick in the teeth for anyone who's got their level 3, because I'll speak for myself. There is kind of this assumption that as you progress through this, you're coaching classes left and right, and you go and you take this test and you get a passing grade, and now it's like, I've made it. And what immediately follows is, now pay me. And and in reality, all you've done is you've demonstrated that you have accumulated a bunch of knowledge, which is a good thing. when what is happening is, even though you've maybe accumulated a bunch of knowledge, you haven't perhaps meaningfully increased the value that you provide in a way that creates an opportunity for the business that you are a part of to ascend its income.
Yep. Absolutely. And that's so true.
Yeah.
It's, and it's handout for money, but it's like, well, I've done these things.
Yeah.
A level 3 isn't necessarily bringing more people through the door.
Yeah. As much as I want to think that they are there for me, they're not. They don't care. Nobody cares who I am. And
I don't think in 10 years of being a coach, not one person actually asked, can I see your certification? Like, not one person asked to see it. Like, they were stuck on the wall, but they all just went, oh, you're a CrossFit coach. Cool. Like, nobody, even when I went and did like L2, like the members were like, is that a good thing or just something you have to do? It's like they think of it like first aid. Like, yeah, we assume you're progressing through the levels. Like, duh. So yeah, it's an interesting thing. But in our head, we think, yeah, I'm crushing it. Oh, I might have lost you a little bit there, Sam.
Are we back?
There we go. Yeah, we got you back in the middle there.
Good.
Yeah,
well, and to bring it back to something that you were saying earlier, if we want to be able to, so like me as a coach, I want to raise my level of income. That doesn't just happen magically. And so working with Fitfiliate helped me to understand that there's like an ecosystem that exists outside of me as a coach that involves the owner and the expenses and what the cash flow process is, and how do you actually drive that value up. And it's not an accidental process. It's super deliberate. And what I think could be frustrating for some owners and GMs is, coaches and GMs, is if they get a peek behind the curtain on that, and then they're partnered with an owner who knows all of this because they live, eat, and breathe it, but then is not interested or doesn't have the awareness for how both parties can like work together to like drive up revenue. And now you're really handicapped.
Yeah. And it's not about, so if you're a coach and you're just getting paid, you're an expense on the business. Like you're an asset, but ultimately at the end of the day, you're an expense. And it's flipping your mindset as a head coach is like, how can I be more valuable here? Yeah. And by increasing the value and understanding that concept, it's not about if I run these things, then the gym owner makes more money. It's, well, if we run these things, the gym's more successful, then we all benefit.
Yeah.
And if you've got a proactive gym owner who, is open to ideas and suggestions and, things that you can, and initiatives that you can take forward. But again, it's also not about just going to the gym owner and say, we need to do this. Oh, cool. Are you going to help me do that? It's like, well, no, but if you do this, you'll make more money, then you can pay me more. But it's like, where's the, taking ownership and seizing that initiative is really an important sort of mindset piece of how to think about that role and what can be done. And from the owner side, we need to be willing to and receptive to sharing the information and being open and I guess vulnerable is looking at our flaws. I remember one of my coaches, I put them through the PIN program, our Power and Numbers program here at Fitfiliate, which is for gym managers and head coaches. And they were learning the same metrics and stuff that I was being coached on. And then he would come to me one day and go, well, how many leads were in this week? And it's like, why? Why do you want to know that? And shared a file and he's like, oh, well, why didn't we convert these? What happened to them? Or why did this member leave? And asking me questions. And I had to be prepared to be open and be accountable on that, which can be a big ego and gut check to an owner and going, well, I don't want my staff to think that I'm failing, like,
Mhm.
and it's that imposter syndrome and all that sort of stuff. But once you
Mhm.
peel back those layers and then you realize you've got somebody who feels empowered to take some ownership, you're like, I'm not alone at the table,
Yeah. Yeah.
which is a big thing.
Well, and as you're describing this, I'm imagining, the owner who is, you know, they're they're all alone riding the tiger as it's been described, but it's
Yeah.
also kind of like burning at the stake. Like you're the only one in the fire, right?
Mm,
And then I imagine that it feels kind of like you get someone who gets a peek behind the curtain and they're like, "Hey, why are we doing X, Y, and Z?" And they
mm,
go from being tied to the stake in the fire to holding on to the stake themselves. And they're like,
mm.
"Why are you doing that? Why do you want to know that?"
Yeah.
And it's
Like,
it
you could just get off the stake. You're not tied there.
yeah.
Like, here's a hose.
Yeah, like let me help you put the fire out, and we can get through this together. And it
Yeah.
if you've got an owner who's willing to walk through that and get to the other side, I mean, the old saying, a burden cut in half is, or burden shared is a burden cut in half.
Mm,
That burden that affiliate owners take on themselves of worrying about everything and keeping,
mm,
all of the just everything on their shoulders. If you open up a little bit and you let some of those staff, those high level staff, your head coach, your GM, they're not there accidentally. They want to be there. They want to help. And
mm,
if they can be brought into the fold on, hey, this is where we are financially. This is how these things affect what we do.
mm,
You bring a whole other mind into how to make that process better. That
mm,
doesn't mean at all that it's any easier. It's that it's not scary or anything like that.
mm,
And I love that you mentioned accountability, because like that goes both ways. You you open up the door for an affiliate, or for like a head coach or a GM, and now it's on them too. They
mm.
know, and like once you know, you can't unsee that. And
And if
accountability.
you do know that and continue on as you have been and going and not taking any ownership or coming up with any initiatives, then it's kind of, well, it's on you when things aren't progressing, rather than just going, well, I told you all the things that you had to do.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's cool. I've got a million other things that I have to do as well. Like, you've seen it.
yeah,
How can you kind of, unsee it?
yeah.
But, one of the most powerful things that happened to me, I was about to make a decision about a financial thing that I was going to do. And this coach dragged me into the office because I had my scorecard written on the whiteboard with, by this month, we're going to be at this many members and this, da, da, da. And he says, that thing you're going to do, is that factored into that calculation? I went, well, no. And he went,
Mhm.
cool, then you're not doing it, I guess. And he said, otherwise that number just means nothing. And he actually brought me into my office to my own whiteboard. And I was like,
Yeah,
cool, you've been to
yeah,
too many power numbers meetings. But
yeah,
but it was just that, and I'd realized how much stuff was in my head. For example, when he asked about the leads, I was like,
yeah.
oh, I better put these on a spreadsheet, because they're all just lived in my head about who was being contacted and where everybody was. And I went,
Mhm.
oh, now I need to share that and go, okay. And as affiliate owners, we like to think we're good at everything, but let's face it, we're not.
Mhm.
There, and quite often we can get in the trap of slapping the title head coach onto somebody, going, oh yeah, you're going to be the head coach, you can take care of all the shitty jobs I don't want to do, which is kind of not a strong way to do it. But you know there are people who are good at things that we're not, that could potentially fill those roles better for more benefit.
Yeah, and that kind of, that opens the subject to another, depending on where you're coming from and where you are in the space and how long you've been in the space and what you've been doing while you're there, that opens the subject to a potentially sensitive subject of, I have seen plenty of affiliates that will just slap the title of head coach on someone.
Mm,
And sometimes it's arbitrary. It's, hey, who's
mm,
next in line?
yep.
You're next in line. Cool. This is your job now.
Mm,
Um, and the the thing that I think is lacking sometimes is the professionalization of the craft. And, if bringing it back to like a business example, um, if you had a business and you had a project manager or a C-level executive
Mm.
who, they retired or they moved, so they're like, hey, I'm going to go be with my family, something like that. Um, they wouldn't just look at the next person and be like, all right, your turn. There's a huge hiring process.
Succession planning.
Yeah, like people are, you're looking for qualifications. There's, rounds and rounds and rounds of interviews.
Mm.
And that can exist for
Mm.
us as professional coaches,
Yeah.
which is, but like it's easy for a real business because there's a culture and there's standards and there's procedures, and there's no reason that those things can't exist in an affiliate as well.
Mm.
And that's where someone like Fitfiliate is
Because
just crucial.
yeah, and I like a lot of affiliates started the way I did, in that either you love CrossFit, you love coaching. It's like, well, I'm going to go and open a gym, so you just
Right.
do it, and you do it because you love that, not because you wanted to own a business, and you still didn't think you're a business owner, or had an owner that was tired and jaded. They made it so irresistible, you just bought it, which is what happened to me. And I was like, no, I think I can run a really good affiliate.
Right.
There was a lot that I was like, I think I can, and I'm still sure I can, but whew, there's so
Yeah.
much stuff. And, when you're starting and it's just you're doing all the things, then when you can finally get coaches, it's more a matter of, Sam, you like coaching, you like
Right.
CrossFit. Have you thought about your level 1? Oh, good, go do that.
Yeah.
Cool, you've got the 4:30 PMs. Good job, buddy.
Yeah.
And
Go crush
that's
it.
how yeah, just don't kill anybody. Cool.
Yeah.
And then that's how we develop coaches. And because then you're so burnt out and so cooked, you're like, oh, you've got the afternoons. Cool. I will not be here. No
Yeah.
one will see me. And then it just sort of spirals into this ad hoc blue tacking stuff on. It's like, I want to turn my Toyota Corolla, my Prius, into a Ferrari. So I just keep bolting on the badges and the accessories. And nobody will know the difference.
Right.
And yet nobody's checking how everything's running underneath. And it's just, a pile of hamsters running in wheels to get the motor started.
Yeah.
And that's the hard thing when we talk about a business, is like, well, I didn't open the gym to have a business. I wanted to help people.
Mhm.
Yes, but if you don't treat it as a business, and do all that stuff, you're not going to be around to help people.
Yeah.
And you're going to fail on your original mission, which was a big thing that I took out of when I first started working with Fitfiliate myself as an affiliate owner and being coached. It's like, if I don't square these things away, then we're not here.
Yeah. And as a person who got into this, like, I didn't start coaching thinking that I wanted to own an affiliate. You kind of fall into that dream at some point, I think, because like those are the two progressions. Is like, okay, I get to my level 3, and I can apply for seminar staff and or go open an affiliate. And that's kind of where it is. Like, you do SME stuff or you open an affiliate. And I learned kind of on the back end, like, I keep thinking back to, like, had I known earlier as a coach what I know now, could I have done more for my members? And in doing more for my members, could I have helped my affiliate owners? Because I don't know how many times I sat and spent 30 minutes or 40 minutes with a member, coaching them on a pull-up, how to do this, how to do that. And I don't want to bring everything back to money, but for example, that's nearly a personal training hour right there, right? Like, I could have monetized that for myself and for my affiliate. And, if I got into this because I wanted to serve people, like, I wanted to live a life of service. And the bigger, heavier thing that sits on your shoulders as an affiliate owner is when you open that business, you pay your $3,000 to CrossFit, you get your insurance, and you open your doors. Like, you are responsible for doing what is necessary to keep those doors open so that those people can get that life-saving message that is CrossFit. And I think we all believe in that. And I agree. I think a lot of people say, oh, I didn't get in this to make money. And knowing what I know now, part of me wants to say, that's great, and it also doesn't matter. Like, I didn't get into, for example, I didn't get into CrossFit because I wanted to teach the muscle up. Cool. Doesn't matter. Learn how to teach the muscle up.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's perfectly said. Is, we kind of realize, a couple of years into the journey, maybe someone's had a bad experience with their tax or their accounting and went, these and all these things that they'd put aside to the too hard basket have now come back to bite them on the proverbial. Or it's suddenly like, I've got 16 people in my team. I don't even know who's doing what. And everyone's unhappy with me. And I can't keep staff happy.
Yeah.
And then you start to look at the structures you have in place. Well, and one of the questions Chuck and Tony said, well, how did you onboard your coaches? Like, what was the conversation? I went, do you want to coach?
Yeah.
It's like, please say yes. And they're not doing XYZ. Well, did you set that expectation? Well, no, but they should know to do that. And it's like,
should they?
And well, you don't know what you don't know. And you start to think about it going, if I were to open another affiliate tomorrow, it would be completely different from the get-go. And in structuring and expectations, and also understanding that, and I think we did this on a recent podcast episode about considering myself as an entrepreneur, and my coaches are also entrepreneurs in their own business and brand, and how can we work together for that?
Yeah. And that has been a huge personal fundamental shift for me. So like, let me start off by saying, using the phrase personal brand with regards to myself, I still don't feel entirely comfortable with. Like, in the Instagram influencer sense of the word, like, it feels icky, Yeah. And it feels icky because Instagram influencers have, like, painted a certain picture of what that means,
Yeah.
But I would never accuse someone like James Hobart of having an icky personal brand. Denise Thomas does not have an icky personal brand to me. These people are subject matter experts, and they're friends and colleagues of mine, and I respect them eminently. And so, but despite that fact, I still had my own internal limiting beliefs about what I was capable of and what a personal brand could be. And the way I look at it now, and I don't have this figured out. It's still an ongoing process, But the way I look at it now is, I have spent the last several years of my life, not just the thousands of hours on the coaching floor, but the like 2 or 3 times that amount of time learning and studying and thinking and talking and writing and, physically moving and just absorbing and living inside of CrossFit. And I have an immense amount of knowledge. And why should I be selfish and assume that somebody doesn't need that knowledge, And so starting to talk about that and to get some of that stuff out of my head, and to realize that not just for people inside of my classes, I can help people in ways other than running a class. I can help coaches to, do what they want to do more effectively. And all of that is kind of folded into the personal brand that is Sam. And I can, if I was in the same position, if I was going to open an affiliate, I would be, knowing what I know now, very clear about
Mm,
what the standards for execution in the classes were, what the standards for conduct for the coaches were, but also empowering them. Hey, I want you to come up with ideas for X, Y, and Z. How can
mm,
you, like, here's your 60 minutes that you get when you run your class. What goes through your head in other parts
mm,
of the day? What do you think about? What do people come and ask you questions about all the time? How can you come up with a plan to address that? Can
mm.
you do that in a 1 or 2 hour seminar that you run on a weekend? Can you run a 1 hour class, once or twice a week for 6 to 8 weeks?
Mm,
If so, why aren't we doing that and monetizing it and one, providing people the thing that they want,
mm,
and also two, helping you to get people to know who you are better as a coach and to ascend your impact and income. One of the one of the most I heard Chuck talking about this recently. It's like, do you sell equipment at your affiliates? If not, why the heck not? Because they're gonna buy that stuff anyway.
mm.
And I thought about the number of jump ropes or
Yep.
types of gymnastic grips that I bought before I found one that worked.
Mm.
You know, would it be valuable to someone to provide them a short list of recommendations? Probably.
Yeah. I I remember one of a very early seminar I went to on running an affiliate. One of the things that they said is like talking about merchandise and that you should have a pro shop. And I was like, okay, I sell some protein, but whatever.
Yeah.
And they're like, when a member asks you, what weightlifting shoes should I get? And it's like, you need to recommend to them the most expensive pair that they can buy.
Mm.
Because when they're sitting in a bag and they don't want to get out of bed early, their partner's going to be, oi, you bought those shoes, get out and use them. Like they were
Yeah.
expensive.
Yeah.
And, you know, the amount of, it was really interesting, even with the transition between like Noble sponsoring the games and, the transition from Reebok. 90% of my members at the gym still would buy Reebok because they came to me and said to me, what are good shoes for CrossFit? Well, I
Yeah.
like these ones and I wear these ones. Cool.
Yeah.
So if your staff are doing that and, then, hey, but I can order these from Reebok for you, knowing full well that I get a discount.
Mhm.
It's, the one-stop shop. Like if there's anything that you need, I can get it for you.
Yeah.
You need an axe? No problem. I will sort that out and I'll come
Right.
up with a price for you.
Right. I bet your Rogue makes one.
Yeah, I'm sure. And if they don't, I'm sure they soon will.
Right.
But we can meet your needs. So then we become an integral part of their life. They don't think about going elsewhere. And it's like, okay, well, you can supply my needs, but also then for my knowledge and learning, it's like, well, yeah, Sam is like really good on this. So I'm going to go and book in for a PT with Sam because in class he gave me some good stuff. But maybe if I work with him more specifically,
Mhm.
then, I'll get further faster.
Yeah.
And it's all those little things that add up, like monkey see, monkey do. Like people will, like we as coaches aspire and fangirl to a degree over the seminar staff. It's like, that's where we want to be. Our members are kind of the same, going, oh, Sam was wearing that cool box shirt. I want one of those. Or,
Mhm.
The new nanos or the new, what are those grips you've got? Oh, Lisa's, got some out in the pro shop, the whatever.
Yeah.
All those little things give you credibility.
Mm.
It's not icky because it's not coming from a place of, I'm just selling you something because, buy this.
Mhm.
It's like genuine, yeah, I've used it, it works.
Mhm.
That's why it's in.
Yeah.
And it's going to help them.
Yeah. And
But it's
they're
taking,
going to buy it anyway.
yeah, they're going to buy it anyway. But also seeing yourself in that role as, yes, if a member buys knee sleeves from the gym, you might not see how that directly helps you, but it does in the long run. Like if the affiliate is making enough, residual income from pro shop items and supplements and all of those sort of things, and then it's going to come back to the coaches as well.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
The coaches have an opportunity to be seen as Sam's a go-to guy if you've got questions about gymnastics scripts or about knee sleeves or, oh, how do you find the knee sleeves helpful? Oh, they're really helpful when I squat. Oh, yeah, my squatting's not great. Oh, cool. Why don't we book in for a session? Like,
Yeah.
There's a million ways at the pathway. But again, the owner has to be, we need to get out of the way and be receptive to a coach coming to us saying, hey, a lot of members have been asking about squatting. Can we run like a Olympic lifting clinic or a powerlifting clinic, and or maybe talk about their knees or something? Can we, sure. Are you going to run that and own it? Yeah, absolutely. Cool, great. I give you full empowerment to go, rather than going, cool, are you going to run that? Well, no, I don't have time to run that, but we need to do it. I told the members that you'll put something together.
I told them that was a great idea.
Yeah. And it happens so much. We need to merge these two groups, and without sounding like an infomercial, but that's what the Power of Numbers group did for me and my coaches, in that they understood what I was using to weigh up decisions and what performance metrics were important and what I was striving for. And then they also then understood that how they contributed to that. Like, a big thing for them was like, so if people buy the Fit Aid rather than me just giving it out of the fridge, makes a huge difference, even if it was just 30 cents a can, like margin. They're like, oh, I understand now, like, why you keep asking us to talk about, hey guys, if you need protein, we've just had a new. So they actually understood both sides of it, and they're like, we suddenly had a really powerful relationship. And then I can say, hey guys, we really need to talk about these things with the members this month, and this is why shirt sales are important. Yeah.
So as you're talking, I'm thinking about, like, what would it be like if an affiliate owner was open and vulnerable enough to actually extend the hand to a coach and say, listen, I want your help with this. Some affiliates have a budget for providing continuing education to their coaches. Hey, once every 2 years, I'll give you $1,000 to, go take a seminar, right? And so as the coaches were like, okay, is my level 1 up? Do I need to take my level 2? Or, cool, can I take 2 smaller ones and get the most for my money? It might be more valuable from a revenue standpoint to bring that coach through a program like PINS, where Power in Numbers, so that you get that person educated and you can open their eyes to what is possible. And now you're not there in the fire by yourself. Like, you've got a partner, you've got a teammate, and that teammate can disseminate information to other members on the team. And it's not just coming from you, And for whatever, any coach knows this. I can stand till I'm blue in the face and say, hey, you're pulling too early with your elbows. And all it takes is one other coach to be like, jump harder. And all of a sudden the problem is solved, right? And if you get someone who says the same thing in a slightly different way, it might be received better by the entire team. And, then eventually you've taken that investment and all the knowledge that person gained, and they can give it to other people. And now what's the phrase? You've leveraged that skill set for that team, like 10x what it was. Like, you got a bunch of coaches and they're crushing it in the gym, but now they also understand how every single thing that they do affects the bottom line. And it's not just, now I'm a coach, it's, I'm a solutions provider. And everything that you can do and say adds value, not just to that member's experience and what they go through in a class, but to the full interaction from the moment they walk through the doors to the moment they leave.
And particularly understanding, in PIN, one of the powerful metrics they explain to them is, ACV and LTV. So rather than saying, oh, well, that's sad, we lost Sam. No, we've lost, $2,500 over the next 2 years that Sam would have potentially stayed, except you were a dick in class and he's taken his bat and ball and gone. Or, understanding that, the new on-ramp guy was weird and it didn't really work out, and I was a bit busy and I was distracted and whatever. Well, that's just cost us $3,500 in that whole relationship, potentially more, but that's the average. It's like, don't see the members just as, oh, well, that's just Sam. That's, $50 a week. It's not. It's, far, far more wide reaching. And I think the other good thing about PIN is that it gave the staff accountability, because they were told, go create an offer and take it to the owner.
Yeah.
And then as the owner, you were like, couldn't sit there and go, well, I can't run it because of this, this, and this. You had to be open to it because you knew what was coming on the other side.
Yeah.
And I was also an internal client of FitFilliate at the time, still am, but getting coached. And I was like, well, if I knock this on the head, I know on my coaching call, my coach is going to ask me what was, what happened with that. Did they bring that to you? And I was like, I'm just going to sit here and be uncomfortable the first couple of times and then run with it.
Yeah.
And not be defensive about, why do these people want my numbers? Like, what's going on with that? So I think there's a lot of scope in the relationship, and we can bang on about this for hours. I know we're both passionate about the topic of finding that middle ground.
Yeah.
But I guess, to wrap it up and to give somebody something actionable to think about or to take on from this chat, gym manager, head coach sitting there, like feeling like they're a little bit in limbo.
Yeah.
What's a bit of advice for them that they could run with today, apart from book a call with FitFilliate, which is always our advice, but
right.
Outside that.
So one is, I guess, treat yourself like and act like a professional, right? The world doesn't need fewer coaches. The world needs more coaches, and especially high-level experienced coaches. The impact that those people can have, to other coaches and then to those members inside of that community is amazing. Please continue to invest in yourself and things like that. The other responsibility is educate yourself. Like, be honest about what you don't know and realize that you have the potential to impact a far greater number of lives for the better if you get a basic understanding of things like entrepreneurship and how to grow and leverage, all this awesome stuff that's in your head vis-a-vis a personal brand. Yeah. And encourage your gym owner, if they're not already, to be a little vulnerable and to talk to you about that stuff. You can even phrase it as like, hey, would you bring me under your wing and teach me a little bit, right? And like, this isn't, in gym owners, it's not about them wanting to like take your stuff. Once they see the numbers, they're not going to want to open their own affiliate. No, like,
no.
Gym owners, be brave. Like, be brave and let them in. Share, be open, and take action. Look for ways to provide value, and through providing value, you will find a solution to ascending your income. Yeah.
And get a coach, get a mentor. It's we're not just about, I know I can only speak for FitFilliate, but we're not here just for gym owners. We can help people who either aspire to be gym owners or just want to be a professional coach and be as successful as they can and go, how do I make a good living coaching?
Yeah.
And that's definitely something we can help with. And I encourage everybody to get a mentor, a coach, not a guru who's going to give them answers, but ask them the right questions to help them find those answers.
Yeah, and as a coach from a technical standpoint, my greatest relationships have been through mentorship, and what I know now about business, I've learned through working with a mentorship program, and it was FitFilliate.
Yeah. You must have an amazing coach at FitFilliate. I just had to put that in there.
Yeah. I knew you did. In typical FitFilliate fashion, we're not going to explain that one.
No, we'll just let that go.
Yeah.
All right, Sam. Thanks for the chat. I appreciate your time, and I look forward to our next one because I'm quite sure I'll have you back for another chat about all things coaching.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Lisa.
No worries. Thanks, Sam.
We'll see you.
Thank you, my friend, for listening to the Fit Affiliate podcast. If you would be interested in hopping on a free call with us to just kind of chat about what you think your problems are and what you think the gap is between where you're at and where you want to go, we can see if maybe we can help you along that journey, figure out if we're all a good fit to do some sweet things together. So click the link, set up a consult. Let's help you identify some problems that we can mutually solve.